if you take what we're observing here, bro, with this new age, these trends or these aspects of it, which is that it's a lot of hodgepodge and irrational stuff that's mixed together, and then bring into play the jinn and the way they deceive and the element of deception and confusion and false beliefs that they instill within society. Bring those two things together, bro.
Oh,
You have a recipe
that's
for
brilliant.
disaster. You have a recipe for disaster, essentially. And that's so
Yeah,
it just they go hand in hand, bro. And you can see how people can completely destroy themselves by doing this.
definitely. And this gives me a very important question that comes in. Sometimes you talk about something like UFO religion that emerged in the new age, and now maybe in the past, like 60, 50 years, 50, 60 years ago, there was something like UFO religions, and now maybe they are again coming up. What is UFO religion? Is that?
Yeah, so there was a trend. Remember, so the whole UFO phenomenon begins in the late 40s, at least the popular modern or new UFO, like new atheism, new UFO phenomenon, or
Okay, it's way back.
subculture. Yeah, begins, you say, in the late 40s with Kenneth Arnold's sightings that he had initially that he called flying saucers when he's flying over some mountain range in America. And then after that, you had the Roswell incident. I'm not saying that, I'm not talking about the truth of these events. I'm just giving you sort of a chronology of how it came about. And then the Roswell, and then a few other sort of crashes, UFO crashes. And this really got this whole idea of alien beings coming to Earth to help us or to save us into the zeitgeist, into the minds of people. And then in the 60s and 70s, you had the hippie movements, and many of them believed in space brothers. Some even, there were some offshoot cults like Heaven's
So
Gate.
Space Brothers, as in aliens, are called Space Brothers.
Yeah, they call them space
Oh,
brothers, right?
okay.
Because when
Oh,
they
wow.
when
Interesting.
they'll smoke their weed, and everyone was their brother, even the ones that came out of space from space. But yeah, it was an interesting thing. So this was so you could see how these ideas, and then obviously with pop culture, you had Star Wars and Star Trek and all of these popular um TV serials and movies, which really created this notion of extraterrestrial beings coming to Earth, in many cases to help us and save us, in some cases to destroy us. Independence Day movie, all of this stuff. So we had this. This has been within the sort of collective consciousness of human beings since at least the late 40s. Now, what's very interesting about this type of idea is that it's again in line with the materialist mindset, the materialist psychology. Why? Because it's a belief in beings from other planets within this universe that are more technologically advanced than us, that are coming here to help us and save us. So it's almost like this savior figure, or this archetype of the savior coming to save us, which has been constructed or emerging from that sort of modern psychology, that modern secular materialist techno-secular sort of mindset. That's where it's emerging from. And it's also interesting because we know, if you look at it from the perspective of the jinn and the history of the jinn, they have taken on different forms throughout history, and they have taken on forms which were relevant to the people of the times. So in ancient times, they would appear as gods and demigods and all of this type of stuff, right? Now, I mean, if the jinn were to appear to modern human beings, the best form they could take on would be the form of extraterrestrials that were far more advanced than us. So look at the parallel here. These gods that were seen by ancient people were superior to the human beings. They came to help human beings and save them in many cases, and they had superpowers and all this type of stuff. Compare that to the modern conception of these technologically advanced alien beings who are superior to us. They have more technology than us. They're more powerful than us. And they're here to save us and take care of us. Very similar narratives in ways, but just a different guise, a different cloak, So, I mean, if the jinn were to take on any form to mislead modern human beings, this would be the best form. A technologically advanced species or beings that are coming here to help us, may have even seeded us on this planet. So yeah, there's a bit of this sort of trend in the 60s and 70s with and these cults that arose, like Heaven's Gate, etc. Which didn't have a good end, by the way. And now we're seeing that emergence again over the past, since 2017. The topics really picked up, and it never really went anywhere. There was always these subgroups and subcultures that were interested in this topic and spoke about it, but it was never mainstream because it was always seen as a fringe type of niche type of topic that people were into. But now with the congressional hearings in 2017, it's become very popular. You know, it's become mainstream now. It's becoming mainstream now, and therefore, it's given those guys that were previously seen as kooks and you know, guys wearing tinfoil hats, the room to maneuver within now and come forward and discuss this. And hence we're seeing the rise in popularity, because no longer are people going to be seen as crazy if they talk about this topic, or if they talk about their beliefs in these beings or their encounters with these beings. So more and more people are coming out and talking about this stuff. And again, bro, it highlights what we were discussing earlier, this internal need to have some sort of spiritual experience, non-material experience, an experience with a higher being, a higher power. But as long as it's not God, you know, it could be anything else but God. So we're seeing that, you know, we're seeing at least an element of this is that in motion, that type of idea in motion, where people expressing their desire to want to worship or submit to something higher, as long as it's not God, basically.